Maria van Angola took advantage of the openness of the Dutch racial system, but near the end of the Dutch rule, that openness was shutting down. The church began discouraging baptisms and land grants to Africans became more rare. The English takeover in 1664 shut the system down further, ending land grants, discouraging emancipation, and barring Africans from testifying in court. So Marie van Angola, she took advantage of all those things that were explained in the earlier paragraphs. But this paragraph shows how when the English took over from the Dutch, that they pretty much squashed all those possibilities. When the English took over, they stopped land grants, so land being given to Africans stopped. They discouraged emancipation, so they really clamped down on freeing any enslaved Africans, and they barred them from testifying in court. They couldn't speak in court anymore. So if they couldn't speak in court, they couldn't do things such as what was explained earlier, sue people for damages, or anything like that. So that really limits their freedom. After the English took over New Amsterdam and named it New York, most of the black landowners sold their small plots or lost them in seizures. The English also clamped down on the control of enslaved populations. Unlike Anthony Portuguese, who was pardoned in 1641, the suspected leaders of slave revolts in 1712 and 1741 were burned at the stake. So after the English took over, black landowners got rid of their land either by selling them or they were taken from them. These seizures, the government took it from them. And this shows how the English also really clamped down, which means in this example here, Anthony Portuguese, so the husband, he led a slave revolt in 1641, but this was still under the Dutch system. And under that, he was pardoned. He was eventually forgiven. However, later slave revolts in this example in 1712 and 1741, they were burned at the stake. So they were killed. They were tied to wooden stakes and they were lit on fire. So under the English system, they really were much harsher in their control of the slave population. Maria managed to hold on, however. She retained her freedom through the changeover to English rule, and in 1681 she married a second time, this time to Bastien Malthusian, a black leader whom the Dutch had called the Captain of the Negroes. They were listed in the church record as both living on the Great Hudson River. So here, despite all this, Maria managed to keep her freedoms even after the English took over. And she married a second time to this Bastien Malthusian. And he was described here as Captain of the Negroes. Now, for this needs a little explanation. So Negroes here just refers to the black people at the time, the African people. So uh, don't take this out of context. This is a historical term, Negroes. It would not have been used as an insult to anybody who was black. Um, it's also what's called an archaic term, meaning it's a historical term that we do not use today. It's strange to use it today. And if you use it today, that could be taken as an insult. So the term Negroes we do not use today except for historical terms. In this case, where it's quoting Captain of Negroes. So someone at the time had used this to describe this black leader. So this is used in historical terms. Um, and this Captain of Negroes would have been a compliment to show that this person was a high leader, that he was a man of some stature, of some importance in this group. So this would have been a compliment to this person. Again, today we would not be using this term as it's an archaic term. The record shows that Maria's adopted daughter, Susanna, held on to the family land until at least 1717. Susanna's brother, Joaquin, became an apprentice, learned to read and write, and joined the Dutch church in Hackensack, New Jersey. These hints suggest that the next generations continued to benefit from the freedoms that Maria and Antony had fought for. So this concluding paragraph just really shows that their children had the ability to read and write, the ability, not the ability to read and write, but they had the opportunity to learn to read and write. And it's just suggesting that they benefited from all the hardships and struggle and the fight that Maria, uh, her husband Anthony, and all the other enslaved people of this colony had fought for, and that they were benefiting from these things.